induction motor can be modeled in a rotor flux oriented reference frame. So just a quick recap what we have done. So we started with the generic, our per phase equivalent circuit, and we have given some definitions for the stator flux, rotor flux, and air gap flux, and then the currents associated with that. So rotor flux magnetizing current, stator flux magnetizing current. So this is how these are located in space. So these are all definitions we have understood. Then some leakage coefficients we have understood. What is stator leakage coefficient? What is rotor leakage coefficients? So with all that, we have been able to correlate the defined quantities with each other. So once these are done, so we were in position to start our modeling from the basic equation, the generic equation. So we started with first understanding with the what are different reference frames we have. So we have found that actually there are three frames of reference. One is alpha beta with respect to the stator, another is alpha beta with respect to rotor, and the third one dq with respect to our rotor flux orientation, which is synchronously revolving. So this is associated with our rotor flux, which is where we are going to orient our D axis. So this we have seen, and then we have defined how this rotor flux magnetizing current can be written in general. So we do not know IMR value, but we know where it is located. So this we will relate with our other realizable quantities, and we will be able to model it. Now, starting with the rotor current, we have seen that if we plug in the rotor voltage value and replace the rotor current with the equivalent magnetizing current and stator current, so we are able to simplify this equation into two parts. So these two parts basically give relation between IMR and ISD, and the second equation gives the relation between the slip speed and the IMR and ISQ. So the first two equations what we get from our induction motor model are like this. Now these two we have got from the rotor voltage model, rotor voltage equation. Now we have stator voltage equation, and we try to plug in and replace our rotor current with the similar equivalent currents, and what we find that after the simplification and after plug-in on these values, we are able to come up with two equations which define basically the D and Q axis voltages and currents in the stator. So all these four can be written at one place, and which we can call as our model for the induction motor. So we have also seen the torque equation, how it boils down to our ISQ and IMR. So if IMR is kept constant, we are not disturbing it so much, which means having a constant flux value, then our torque is proportional to ISQ. This is what we have understood. And then we have seen the equations which define the induction motor model in the rotor flux oriented reference frame. So up to this we are clear, right? There is no confusion. There is no problem up to this, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Fine.
Yes,
So
sir.
once we have got these equations, now our job is to do the, and of course when we are targeting the vector, current vector, then we are into the vector control, and in that we have done the rotor flux orientation. So another name can be given as field oriented control, FOC, or rotor flux oriented control, or this all comes under the vector control. So these are the names given. Another possibility could be that you orient your flux around the, orient your reference frame along the stator flux or the air gap flux. These are other possibilities, but we will stick with the rotor flux orientation, and we will see how these things or these currents can be controlled using the traditional PI controllers. And some things we discussed about the slip speed, how it is related to motoring and generating mode, and with our general information what we have. Now, 4 quantities are there which we actually try to control. We have ISQ, ISD, of course, and then we have our IMR, and then we have the speed or omega. So these 4 quantities we want to control, and because we have measurement for omega, so we call it direct field oriented control or direct vector control. The meaning of direct is that we have access to the speed sensor, which is mounted on the motor, and we have information about omega. So we are not worried how we are computing, and this omega, I mean the omega mechanical, in electrical radian per second. Or maybe mechanical radian per second, whichever you take, because we can multiply by p by 2 and we can always get back any value. So we have omega m measured using a speed sensor. These quantities are anyway measured through the current sensor, ISD, ISQ, which is always there, whether we go for direct field oriented control or indirect field oriented control, current sensor will always be available. Only thing changing would be the availability of speed sensor. How are we getting our omega? What information do we have about omega? Whether we are measuring it directly or it is indirect measurement, which means through modeling, or you can call as the another name could be the observer. We are putting any observer for that, for sensing our, not sensing exactly, but estimating our omega. So this all will come under indirect vector control. So because this all is related with speed sensor, so sometimes we call this as field oriented control or sensor field oriented control. And whenever we are having observer or the model, we call as sensorless field oriented control or sensorless vector control. So please mind it, this is sensorless. Don't make it senseless. That is the only request. Whenever you are doing control, you must know what you are doing. That is the only thing you have to keep in mind. So this is what we mean by sensorless and the sensor vector control. Okay. So what we do, first we will discuss our direct field oriented control, where we have information about omega m through speed sensor. So once we are done with this, then we will go for sensorless vector control. Fine. Any confusion between the direct or indirect vector control or sensorless or sensor vector control? Understanding my point, right? What is there, what is not there, this you have to be very clear. Someone saying sensorless vector control, which means what is not there? That is the speed sensor is not there or speed encoder is not there. Somebody is saying direct vector control, which means we have information about omega directly from the speed encoder. These terms are very much clear to you, right? There is no confusion in that. Fine.
Yes, sir.
Good.
Yes, sir.
Now we take our direct vector control or direct field oriented control or sensored vector control. So as I said, we have 4 quantities. Now we have to understand how we are going to position these quantities in the inner and outer loop. So from our past experience from PMSM, from separately excited DC motor, we have seen that cascaded control loop is preferred for such systems, for motors where we have control and speed and different quantities to control. We go for cascaded mode of control. We have inner control loop, outer control loop. Now here we have 4 quantities. So see, we are increasing step by step. In DC motor, how many quantities we had to control for separately excited? Omega and I armature, only 2 quantities. Then we went for PMSM. Then how many quantities we had? Omega, ISQ, ISD. 3 quantities. Now we are in induction motor. So where we have Omega, ISQ, IMR, ISD. 4 quantities we have to control. This is how we are increasing the complexity step by step. So once you are done with the DC motor separately excited control, you know the basics, what you have to apply in terms of control. The application is different. Then when we went for PMSM, we understood that we have now 2 different loops. In terms of inner outer, we have a Q axis control loop and we have a D axis control loop. Now again, we have to divide these things for induction motor also. These 4 quantities we have to club together to make 2 major control loops. Understanding my point, right? So we know very well that our torque is dependent on some kT times, let's say IMR and ISQ. This is our torque. Our IMR is something which is function of ISD. Understanding my point? So these 2 quantities, IMR and ISQ, these are related with the ISD ISQ current like this. Which means what? If let us say we decide that okay, we will have fastest control for ISD ISQ, which means they will always be in the inner control loop. Then the next quantity which we need to control could be IMR because it is only dependent on ISD and nothing else. So what we can do, we can next control our IMR, which means the bandwidth can reduce now for IMR compared to the current controller. And then once we have IMR fixed, then our torque is only dependent on ISQ, which means the next thing what we need to control would be our omega after this. So this is how we will make our bandwidths. This is how we will consider the range for our control or the bandwidth for our control loop. So meaning to say that if you call the bandwidth for current as some omega b omega I, then for IMR as omega b omega f, because IMR is direct measure of flux. This you have to understand. So by controlling IMR, we are directly controlling the flux. Then if we call the bandwidth for omega as omega b omega w, so this relationship must always hold. So the current control bandwidth must be highest, then followed by the flux control bandwidth, and then followed by the speed control bandwidth. And the reason is obvious. Our D-axis current is controlling our IMR. So first, the D-axis current must be settled much before any activity happens on the IMR. And because our torque is dependent on both IMR and the current, so we must ensure that our flux is settled much before anything happens on the speed control loop or on the torque. So that is why this sequence we are maintaining. Any confusion over here? Any confusion? Clear, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now we can write our control loop or the block diagram we can make. So obviously the speed and flux are going to be on the outer loop side. But speed and flux both are now kind of decoupled, because once we are fixing IMR, there is no dependency of torque on IMR. We have fixed this value. We have made this constant. So this whole KT into IMR can be called as a new constant. You can call it KT dash. Then torque is only dependent on ISQ. So what we can say that we have two separate loops to control. One is we can call as speed control loop, which will be deciding the reference for Q axis current alone, because our IMR is now done. We need not do anything on IMR. This will be deciding the reference, and when we compare with our feedback ISQ and pass it through the PI controller, this will be generating our VSQ reference, where we need to add the feed forward. I will come back to that. What is the feed forward over here? You can call it VSQ FF and divided by our gain, similar to what we have done for PMSM or separately excited DC motor. Then comes our converter gain. So we can call it KA. And then comes our term which is getting subtracted, which is equivalent to what we have added in the feed forward. And then we have our plant for the current loop. And this plant is generating ISQ. So this closes over here. ISQ passing through your KT dash, which means a constant value, generates your electromagnetic torque, which once you subtract the load torque, that defines your omega after the mechanical plant. And this gives your omega. And then we can close this loop. Now here what we do, we always put a filter for speed. So as of now, I will call as a speed filter, because many a times these encoders are noisy, whatever we put for our speed sensing. So we have to have some filter, otherwise all this noise will be going into our control loop. So this speed filter we need to put over here. Now this is our speed control loop. This is associating our omega with ISQ, and there are two PI controllers, one having the inner current control loop and another having the outer speed control. Then we have our flux control loop. So these two quantities are very clearly decoupled. Now in flux control loop, we are actually controlling the IMR. So some reference we can give. I will come to that, what reference to give for IMR. And then we compare with our feedback IMR. This error is fed to PI controller. This PI controller will generate command for ISD, because ISD is responsible for making up the IMR, where it is compared with ISD feedback. And then we have the PI controller for D-axis current control. And this is generating the VSD reference, where we add our feed forward terms. So some VSD feed forward divided by K. Then we have our converter modeled as gain K. Then the output of the system will see this VSD feed forward getting subtracted from it. Then we have the current control plant, the current plant. And then this is giving out the ISD, where we can close this loop. Now this ISD goes through another plant, which you can call as rotor flux plant, and generates IMR. And this we can close here. So here we need not have any filter. We are fine with, because this is estimated by us. within the controller. So these two are our speed control loop and flux control loop. And we can see that these two are completely decoupled. So whatever coupling is coming, we are compensating that through our feed forward terms. So then we can have control for the speed and the flux separately. Is that clear? Any confusion here? Any confusion?
Hello, sir.
Yes, Samir.
Sir, the decoupling thing you said, sir, the torque dependence on ISQ only.
Yes.
Sir, in that term, IMR is also dependent on ISD, sir. That is a little confusing.
Correct. That is why we are doing step by step. First you control your ISD, ISQ fastest. Then you go for IMR control. And then you go for your speed control. So sequentially we are doing.
Sir, means for the period we are controlling ISQ, IMR will be almost constant because we are not varying it with that frequency as the ISQ. Means this is what that means.
What do you mean by varying ISQ?
No, sir, means the bandwidth of ISQ is bigger than the bandwidth of IMR.
No, who said this? Again, I go back to what I wrote earlier. When I say bandwidth of current, it is bandwidth of both the D axis and Q axis currents both. Did I say D or Q over here? This is for both D and Q currents. And then we have the bandwidth for flux, then we have the bandwidth for omega.
Okay, sir.
Understanding my point?
Yes, sir.
Now let me go back to the equation, what we had, and then let us try to understand from there what has happened. Now you will be able to correlate with what we are doing over here. Now see, in this equation, if we have to write the equations again, so we have understood that in this D and Q axis equations, these two parts only are the linear components, the RL circuit part. Rest all these third and fourth component coming in the equation are basically because of some kind of coupling. You understand this point, right? The third term is coming because of DQ coupling. So the D axis voltage is seeing Q axis current, and DQ axis voltage is seeing D axis current. This is coupling on account of DQ. Understanding my point? Whenever we have transformation to synchronously revolving DQ reference frame, this coupling will appear. So this we cannot do anything. This is a non-linear term for us. Then the fourth term, this is coming on account of IMR. So we can say to an extent that yes, it is similar to your speed EMF. The fourth term. The only thing to notice over here is generally dIMR by dt in steady state condition, this is 0. So the EMF term will appear only in the Q axis, similar to what we have seen in the PMSN motor. but whenever there is any change, any disturbance on IMR, something will appear on the Q axis also, sorry, D axis also. This is the difference what we have from PMSM. This is only under the transient condition. Whenever there is any change in IMR, the something will appear on VSD on account of our speed EMF. Understanding my point?
Yes, sir.
So these third and fourth terms, which I have written over here, this we cannot control directly from our linear control. These are all coupled terms. So that is why I call all this as my feed forward term. I will compensate this third and fourth term using the feed forward. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
So if I have to simplify the equation, I will write it in two parts. So VSD will have ISD RS plus sigma LS DISD ISQ, sorry, ISD DDT of ISD, and then plus whatever term is remaining, that I will call as VSD feed forward. Similarly, for Q axis, I will write as ISQ-RS, sigma LS, DDT of ISQ, and whatever is remaining, I will call as VSQ feed forward. Now, this is the feed forward term which is non-linear. This I am compensating as feed forward term. The meaning of feed forward is I am compensating for this in advance, so that later on it doesn't interfere with the control. Understanding my point? Now, once you have done the feed forward, so basically what it means that you have absorbed these terms within this VSD minus VSD feed forward is equal to ISD RS plus sigma LS DDT of ISD. And here you can write VSQ minus VSQ feed forward is equal to ISQ RS plus sigma LS DDT of ISQ. So this is what you have absorbed within the input voltage itself. So I can write as some VSD star is equal to ISD RS plus sigma LS DDT of ISD, and VSQ star ISQ RS plus sigma LS DDT of ISQ. I have absorbed these terms within my input itself. This is the meaning of feed forward compensation. Now what I have is simple RL circuit. That RL circuit I can control because it is a linear circuit. Understanding my point? But the point to note over here is that our inductor part or inductance part is not only LS, it is sigma LS. What is sigma? Total leakage coefficient. And what is LS? Total stator inductance. Understand the terms very clearly. So for the D and Q axis currents, what is my plant? My plant is simple this 1 by RS plus S sigma LS. If I feed my voltage, I will get my current. That is all is the plant. After the compensation, I have only this much. Understanding my point? Now coming to next equation. This is my first plant. Both D and Q both are there. Now coming to IMR equation, we have seen that IMR equation is written as correct. This is the equation for IMR, right? Now, if you rearrange, what you can write is that similar to how you are writing this voltage equation here, similar to this you can write here. ISD, which is kind of input, is equal to IMR plus 1 by TR times of d by dt of IMR. Isn't it very, very similar to V equal to IR plus LdI by dt? Is it not very similar? Only thing is we have current input, current output. So that is why we do not have any impedance getting multiplied anywhere. So our plant for this will be very, very similar to our voltage plant. Yes, Samir?
Sir, TR will be multiplied with d by dt IMR.
TR will be multiplied where?
So this TR when we will take on the left hand side.
Which left hand side?
Sir, 1 by sir, this ISD equals to IMR plus 1 by TR d by dt IMR you have written. Sir, this would be TR, no?
So what is TR?
Sir, this time constant.
So what to do with that?
No, sir, in the equation, sir. So TR, sir, on means here in equation, sir, it is written 1 by TR. It should be TR, no, sir?
Should be
sir,
TR.
when we are rearranging the equation, after rearranging the equation, sir.
Okay. You mean to say this should be TR? Yes. Okay.
Yes, ISD is equal to IMR plus TR.
This is 1 by TR, so here it becomes TR. Fine.
Yes.
Yeah, correct. Good observation. So this is what we have when we write the plant for this model. Correct? So
Yes.
basically what it says that this plant is what your ISD is the input. Let us say if you give a step input to this plant, ISD, your IMR response will be something like this, first order response. It will go and settle, that's all, with some time delay. And what is the time delay? Is the TR time constant. Understanding my point? So again, this is also a first order plant. Here, your current control plant or this current plant is also first order plant. Understanding my point? But the time constant, if you compare, in case of current, we have sigma Ls by Rs as our current time constant. And here for our flux time constant, it is TR, which means LR by RR. So because of sigma, our tau I is very, very small compared to our tau R or tau F or TR. Understanding my point? So this system, your current control system, is much faster compared to your flux plant, which is why we are doing this control first, the current control first, then we are going for the flux. Understanding my point? It is according to how the time constant is appearing in the system. The fastest one is current and the slower one is flux, which is why we go in that sequence. The bandwidth for the current is much faster and then bandwidth for the flux is slower. Now we go for speed. Again, similar thing we will observe. The equation for speed is d omega m by dt. J we can put over here, so is equal to tau E, whatever electromagnetic torque we have developed, minus tau L minus b omega m. So tau L we can ignore because it is coming as disturbance, or even if you want it to be there, the plant looks something like this. Understanding my point? Very similar to our separately excited DC motor or PMSM. All these three motors are similar, or any motor is similar, because mechanical dynamics are very similar for each system. Now here our mechanical time constant is J by B, which is very high. So these three systems, if you arrange, our current time constant will be smallest, then our flux time constant, and then our mechanical time constant. Because of this relation, we go in the control mode, first having the fastest control for the current, omega B omega I, then omega B omega F, and then omega B omega of mechanical. You cannot jumble the sequence. Why? You cannot do anything for omega or for the tau m to respond faster than current. It is impractical. Understanding my point? So because the natural time constant of these systems are arranged like this, that is why we follow the control sequence also like this. Is that clear to you? Now you understand why I have made the block diagram like this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Where is that? Yeah, here. So first thing what we have done, we have decoupled the torque and flux components, which is what you say in general. No, when you say vector control, what is that? We are doing the separation of torque and flux components, isn't it? That is what you say. So this is what we have done first by having ISD and ISQ components of current, defining the two different quantities or controlling the two different quantities. One associated with torque, which is ISQ, another associated with the flux, which is ISP. Now once we have done that, then we know that our fastest control can happen for the current controls or current control loops. So that is why these both are inner control loop. These both have same bandwidth. There is no problem in that. Same plant for both. So same bandwidth we can have. Now next to do what? Next slower plant is our rotor flux plant. So then we will go for this control, IMR control. And once our flux is settled, then we will go for our speed control. That is clear, right? Simple. Any confusion here? Akib? Clear? Alhaj?
Yes, sir.
Good. Now we will design one by one. So of course, design we have already seen. We'll just review quickly, and then I will come up with a question to all of you, which let us see how much you have understood. So then first go for our current controller design. So what is, when we say current controller, this includes both D and Q both. So that's why I will write a general IS. IS star is the reference, general IS. It could be ID, it could be IQ, but the control structure will remain same. Then the feedback is our IS. And then we have our PI controller, which is generating some reference where we are adding our feed forward, which is going to our inverter in terms of modulating signal. Then it is generating the voltage, which is removed, the feed forward term is removed from there, and then the plant generating our current IS. This is our current control loop. Any confusion in any part of this? So then we can write Now, which PI controller or what is the structure of PI controller? What we are using over here? What is the structure here? Kp plus KIYS, isn't it? Isn't it simple?
Yes.
Now all the disturbance we can ignore because in designing the controller, the disturbance doesn't matter. So we can simply ignore these disturbances. Then what we are left with? KT and our plant. What is our plant? Someone?
1 upon R plus
RS
yes
plus sigma
RS
ls.
plus sigma ls.
S sigma ls. These subscripts are very, very important. You say R, that is completely different number. No, RS is the term which we are looking for. And then IS. And then we have the feedback getting connected over here. This is what essentially we are having in terms of plant. Now what we do next? Suggest what we do. You all have done now DC, separately excited motor, PMSM. You know what to do after getting this plant or getting the control loop block diagram.
The pole zero cancellation.
Pole zero cancellation. Sir.
Good. But first you
Find
need to
KP.
write the open loop transfer function, what you have. And you need to rearrange so that pole zero cancellation looks simpler to you. Correct? Now what you are cancelling? What is the meaning of cancellation? Which one is the pole actually here?
So this S sigma LS
Yes.
What is the pole? This is the pole, right? 1 by 1 plus
Yes, sir.
sigma ls by rs, not ts. This is ls. So we can write sigma ts also, that is also fine. And this is our 0, 1 plus s kp by ki. Now we are cancelling means what? We are equating these values, whatever are the coefficients of s. I am repeating little bit of control again because some of you actually need it. So this is what we do. And once we do, that means what we have ensured that our pole and 0 are lying at the same location. So that means the effect of pole is cancelled by the 0. Are you clear here?
Yes.
Then
Yes,
what we are remaining with is this plant, open loop plant, RS. This is our open loop plant. That is all. Rest all things are cancelled. So our simplified open loop plant is this. Then what is our closed loop plant? So maybe for classification, I will mark an I, which denotes the current open loop, current closed loop plant. So what is GCL for unity feedback system?
1 upon 1 plus KT by
1 upon 1 plus or something else? 1 upon 1 plus what? Anybody?
So 1 upon 1 plus KI KT upon SRS.
No. Is this correct? Is this correct? 1 by 1 plus G?
Sir, G upon 1.
No,
Q
sir.
upon 1 plus G.
Yes.
Q.
This should be there. Again, if you get confused, you go back and see what it should be. The equivalent system is like this. You have G open loop here. and you have unity feedback here. You can take some input, let's say X, some output U, and you see what you are getting over here. Okay? Understanding my point? So this is what it will result into. Now your closed loop control or closed loop transfer function can be written as, if you simplify, it will come out to be something like this. Understanding my point? Understanding my point? Is this correct? Okay, I am writing KT
Yes, sir.
over here, but rather let us use KA for the converter or the inverter, because KT is for torque. So just one small change, instead of KT, you use KA here. KT is reserved for torque. Rest all things are same. Fine. Now next what we do? We have got a relation between Kp and Ki, but still we have not got the values of Kp, Ki, right? There is one relation we have got. Now how to get the Ki value or the Kp, Ki value next? Someone?
From the bandwidth.
Sir, bandwidth.
So what is the bandwidth of the system?
Sir, Ki
Bandwidth
K
of system.
RS.
KI K upon RS.
Yes. Ki Ka by Rs, this is the bandwidth. Now how much it should be?
Switching frequency upon time.
Yes. So switching frequency means that is FSW frequency. So we will write 2 pi FSW by 10. And then we have designed our current controller. Now we know the values of Kp and Ki both. Clear? Any confusion in this?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Now, this is what your final control loop is. So this was your control loop, right? You have cancelled some terms over here, and finally you are left with this plant as whole control loop. So this is what basically, if you have to represent this in terms of block diagram, how it will look like. You have current reference and you have current output. What is in between? In between you have 1 plus S tau I. What is tau I? Tau I is your 1 upon omega b omega I. You can also write as S upon omega b omega I. This is all. Now this is your current control loop completely. Whether you say D or say Q, it is simplified to this. Any confusion here? Why it is written like this? Samir?
No, sir.
Fine. This is your final plant. This is your final transformation. Transfer function. Understanding my point? So anywhere when we are going for the outer control loop, we will replace our entire inner control loop by this only. That is all. What it says, if there is any current reference, our current controller will make the current track it like that as a first order response. Any confusion there? We have cancelled everything in that, and we have adjusted our bandwidth such that this is our reference and this is our current. That's all. That is our complete whole control loop for the current. Fine. With this, now we will go for IMR control loop. So what we have in the IMR control loop, this I call as flux control loop. We have IMR reference, IMR feedback, we have the PI controller generating the ISD reference. Then we have current control loop. Now this contains everything, whatever we have done in the previous slide. Current control loop, which will generate ISD. The output of this current control loop will be ISD, almost tracking the ISD reference. Now this will go through the plant, which is the rotor flux plant, which will generate our IMR. And this is how our loop will close. You understand my point? What has happened in between? Anybody having any confusion here? Any confusion here? Fine. So then we stop over here, and from here we will start on Friday. We will design our flux control loop and speed control loops, and then we will see what further can be done. Is that fine? Any question,
Yes, sir.
anything you may ask immediately. Wherever you have any confusion, immediately ask. Alaj, everything is fine?
Yes, sir.
Osman?
Yes, sir. Fine.
Pooja? Are you there? She is not there. Vijeta?
Yes, sir.
Good. Satyaprakash?
Fine.
Sameer?
Fine, sir.
Vishal? Suraj?
Fine, sir.
Akib? Pranjal? Naveen?
Yes, sir. Fine.
Understands.
Fine, sir.
Rajesh?
Fine, sir.
Fine, sir.
Thin? Thin, are you there? Gopal?
Yes, sir. Fine. Fine, sir.
Vikas?
Yes, sir. Fine.
Good. So then we will continue from here in the next class, and we will see how much we can reach. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.